Hello everyone, I am here to continue the discussion of Mr. Sabdani and Mr. Ramos under the Chapter 20, Non-Avian Reptiles Diapside Amniotes, the Evolutionary Pressures. I hope you will learn a lot of things here. By the way, my name is Merjoy Gacho Lurata, a BS Bio 1B student, and I will be your lecturer for today's video. Adaptations of non-avian reptiles. Many non-avian reptiles have evolved specialized adaptations to survive in dry, hot, and extreme terrestrial environments. So, one of the characteristics na nag-specialize para sa isang non-avian reptiles is ang kanilang capability to survive in dry, hot, and super extreme na temperature sa Earth or sa kanilang environment. And one of the examples sa non-avian reptiles is itong chokwala. So it is a lizard native in the deserts of the southwestern United States. So one of the thing is this lizard is capable to survive in a very hot temperature. Also, is capable to escape predators by skipping through the rock cracks. So, yan yung mga characteristics na nag-adapt sa isang non-avian reptiles. Chukwala's adaptations to desert life. So, estivation, summer dormancy, when temperatures exceed 40 degrees Celsius or 104 degrees Fahrenheit, and plants dried up, Chukwalas retreat underground. This summer dormancy eventually merges into winter dormancy due to limited rainfall. They remain underground until March when desert plants bloom again. So, yung desert is when super hot na talaga, 'di ba? Yung mga plants mag-dried up na. So, one thing that actually Chokwalas do is to escape the heat by going underground. Since na-discuss na before yung estivation, so through estivation, it helped them survive extreme temperatures. So if may rainfall na or may rainfall stays low na, the summer rest slowly turns into winter dormancy. So yung mga chokwalas stay hidden. So nakatago lang sila until March when the plants bloom again. So since nag-bloom na yung mga plants, so it provides them food and better conditions for them to return. So in terms of water storage, chokolas drink and store water in large reservoirs under their skin, allowing them to survive long dry periods. So in terms of sa defense mechanism, when threatened, they take refuge into crack crevices. They inflate their lungs, expanding their body to wedge tightly against the rocks. Their rough scales create friction against the rock, making them extremely difficult to remove. Since yung example natin is yung chokwalas, so yung chokwalas, they have these special ways to survive in dry desert. So they drink and store water in large reservoirs which is under sa kanilang skin, and it helps them to have a long periods without drinking. So in terms of protection naman is kung may mga predators or they feel threatened, they hide under the cracks sa mga rocks. So they inflate their lungs, making their bodies bigger and tightly wedged against the rocks para makapasok sila. Yung rough nila scaly skin nila, it adds friction, making it almost impossible for predators to pull them out. These adaptations help chokwalas stay safe and survive in harsh desert conditions. So broader reptilian adaptations to terrestrialism. Chokwalas are one example of how reptiles have adapted to dry environments. Other common adaptations in non-avian reptiles include water conservation. So, may efficient kidneys sila para ma-minimize yung water loss. So, it can help them survive in a long periods without drinking water. Next is thick keratinized skin. So, this thick keratinized skin reduces evaporation and it prevents dehydration. So ang kanilang skin is not only for protection pala, but it also helps them reduce evaporation and para ma-prevent yung dehydration since they live in a hot, dry, and extreme temperature, diba? Next is the ectothermy. See, ectothermy, it uses external heat sources instead of internal metabolism to regulate body temperature. So, it reducing energy and water needs. So, unlike other animals or like unlike mammals, so yung non-avian reptiles, they rely on ectothermy, using the sun and warm surfaces to control their body temperatures. So instead of like burning energy, so this helps them both water and energy, making them well suited for life in harsh, dry habitats. So that's why the non-avian reptiles survive in hot, extreme environments because of these adaptations. So let's proceed to the external structure and locomotion. So let's proceed to the skin characteristics. So unlike amphibians, the Navian reptile skin has no respiratory functions, so they do not breathe through their skin. Their skin is thick, dry, and keratinized. So yung skin nila, it also helps them retain moisture in dry environments. Scales and scutes may be strengthened by bony plates and modified for different functions. So it have adapted into different purposes. So one of the examples is the large belly scales in snakes. So these large belly scales in snakes aid locomotion by providing contact with the substrate, which means that the belly scales of the snakes, it helps them move by gripping the ground as they slither. So these skin characteristics allow reptiles to survive and thrive in various habitats, so especially in hot and arid regions. Next is the glandular secretions and blood supply. So, non-avian reptile skin is less glandular than amphibian skin, and some secretions include pheromones used for sex recognition and defense. So, yung non-avian reptiles daw, their skin have fewer glands compared to the amphibians. So, even though like they have fewer glands, they can still produce some secretions, which is the pheromones for recognizing mates and defending territory. So, in vertebrates, blood vessels do not innervate the epidermis, leading to cell death in the outer layer due to lack of nourishment. So, like other vertebrates, then their epidermis lacks blood vessels, so meaning that the outer skin cells eventually die. So, mamamatay kasi lack of nutrients. So, in reptiles, tinatawag itong shedding or the ecdysis, where they lose their old skin in pieces or whole layers. So, in humans din naman, this results as a flaking skin or dandruff. So, humans experience a similar process din naman. But instead of shedding, like the reptiles, we lose dead skin cells as flaking or dandruff. So, it results to flaking or dandruff yung pagka shedding if comparing to the reptiles. Since I've mentioned the shedding or the ecdysis in the last slide, so we will discuss it more here. So the lepidosaur reptiles shed their dead epidermal layer uniformly using lymph and enzymes. So, yung lepidosaur reptiles daw like snakes and lizards, so they shed their outer skin layer in a process called ecdysis. So they use the lymph fluid and the enzymes para malusin yung old skin nila. So, di ba, lizards and snakes, di ba, they shed their entire skin all at once para maka-accommodate sa kanilang growth. And comparable to the crocodilians and turtles, yung snakes is diba yung entire skin nila, while the turtles naman is yung smaller patches lang or single scales rather than all at once. So this shows that the exercise frequency varies by species. So that means that hindi pala para similar yung mga pag-shed ng mga species. So it depends on what species yung kanilang shedding, 'di ba? Yung snakes, all yung crocodilians or turtles is single patches lang. So juveniles shedding more often because they grow faster than adults. So it means that yung mga small babies or yung mga babies na reptiles is they shed more. So, palagi silang nag-shed compared sa mga adults. Kasi yung mga juveniles is they grow faster than the adults does. Coloration and function. So, the chromatophores in avian reptiles originate from the dermis and function like those in amphibians. So, these pigment-containing cells para sa mga non-avian reptiles is it came from the dermis and it works similar to those in amphibians. Ano ba ang kanilang ginagawa? So, these non-avian reptiles exhibit cryptic coloration, mimicry, and aposematic or which is the warning coloration. So yung mga pigment-containing cells para sa mga avian reptiles, it allows them to display cryptic coloration para ma-camouflage. And also for mimicry, para mag-resemble sila like the other species, and also the aposematic coloration para to warn predators sa kanilang toxicity or danger. Next is the coloration changes help them sex recognition and thermoregulation. So some reptiles can have changed color. Yes, they can change color, which helps them sex recognition. Para during mating, it can, oh, this is a female, oh, this is a male. So it also helps them in the thermoregulation by adjusting how much heat they can observe or reflect from their surroundings. We will proceed to the support and movement. Skeleton adaptations. The skeleton of snakes, amphibians, and turtles are highly modified but are based on an ancestral amphibian skeleton. So their skeletons actually change over time, but still it came from the ancestral amphibian skeletons pa rin naman. The skeleton is highly ossified, which means it is hardened para to support their bodies better. The skull is longer than of amphibians. So compared to the amphibians, yung mga non-avian reptiles have skulls that are much longer, which gives them more space for stronger jaws and better sensory organs. So it also have a secondary palate, which is the partially separating nasal passages from the mouth cavity, which evolved in Archosaurus and is present in other non-avian reptiles to a lesser extent. So, some lang yung ibang mga non-avian reptiles, it has a secondary palate in which adapt nila galing sa Archosaurus, which is the group that includes the crocodiles and birds. Next is the longer snouts allow greater development for olfactory epithelium, enhancing the sense of smell. So yung longer snouts nila is it improves their sense of smell, which is important for sa hunting and detecting predators. This is the image of the secondary palate. Vertebrae and movement. Non-avian reptiles have more cervical vertebrae than amphibians. So compared to the amphibians, yung non-avian reptiles, it has a more cervical vertebrae which give them greater neck and flexibility. So the first two cervical vertebrae is the atlas, which facilitates nodding, which is the up and down movement, and the axis, which is modified for rotational movement. So the axis is modified para to side rotation. Other cervical vertebrae provides additional neck flexibility. So the remaining cervical vertebrae pala is it is used for increased movement, which helps the reptiles scan their surroundings, catch prey, and to interact with their environment more efficiently. Rib adaptations. turtles and flying dragons have highly modified ribs, which means that yung ribs nila is na-improve para sa mga unique functions ito. For example, yung turtles. Yung ribs sa turtles are fused to their shells para sa protection. While yung flying dragons naman is yung elongated ribs nila is to support their wings like flaps for gliding. Next, yung snake's ribs are connected to large Bailey scales, aiding locomotion. So yung ribs naman sa snakes is para sa movement nila. Since it is connected to the large Bailey scales, it helps them grid surfaces and slither efficiently. While the cobra's cervical vertebrae have ribs that flare in defensive display. So yung cobras naman is yung cervical ribs nila or yung neck ribs nila, it can flare outward. So it creates them the iconic hood para ma-display as a defensive thing to appear larger and more intimidating to the predators. Tail and escape mechanisms. So in non-avian reptiles, two or more sacral vertebrae are connected or attached to the pelvic girdle, to the spine or the vertebral column, which enables them to provide strong support para sa hind limbs nila. So in caudal vertebrae in lizards have a fracture plane, which enables them to autonomy loose tail. So many lizards pala may special adaptations pala, which is the caudal or the tail vertebrae, which is called the fracture plane, which allows them to perform autonomy or the ability to drop their tail when attacked. So the autonomy helps lizard escape predators by breaking off their tail, which can be later regenerate. So, yung mga lizards pala is they can detach their tail, which continues to wiggle, and it distracts the predator while the lizard escapes. Over time, the tail regenerates. So, magbalik sa original nila or magkaroon ng new, but not be identical, but it has new. These defense mechanisms increases their chances of survival in the wild. Locomotion adaptations. Primitive non-avian reptiles move similarly to salamanders, with a low slung body and laterally extended limbs. So yung mga early non-avian reptiles pala is they move like the salamanders, which keeping their bodies low, nasa low talaga sa ground, and their legs extending sideways. So, more advanced than even reptiles have elongated, slender limbs held closer to the body. So, as reptiles evolve, their limbs became longer. Mas taas na siya and more slender. So, mas niwang na siya ba? Positioning them closer to the body for more efficient movement. So, the knee and elbow joints rotate posteriorly, raising the body higher and providing vertical weight support. So para sa mga more advanced na mga species, yung knee and elbow joints nila is rotated backward, lifting their body higher and improving vertical weight support. So many prehistoric non-avian reptiles have bipedal, featuring may narrow pelvis sila, a long outreached tail for balance, and a free front limbs, and which also evolved for hunting, grasping prey, or even flight in some species. Let's proceed to the nutrition and the digestive system of non-avian reptiles. Diet and tongue adaptations. Most non-avian reptiles are carnivores, so which means they eat meat only. But some turtles and lizards can be herbivores, so plants only yung kinakain nila, carnivores or omnivores, which is both plants and animals or meat. Turtle and crocodilian tongues are non-processable and aid in swallowing. So yung tongues nila kasi is it serve as different functions. So in terms of yung sa turtles and crocodilians, yung tongue nila it enables them to stay inside the mouth and help them push the food towards their throat. So in contrast naman sa lizard and other things, their sticky tongues naman is it helps them catch their prey. While the chameleons have their long tongues and extend their body length. So yung chameleons is mas extreme pa yung tongue nila is because it extend beyond their body length. So, mas taas pa sa kanilang body length, shooting out rapidly to snatch insects with incredible accuracy. Teeth types and adaptations. The Acrosaurus, except the birds, have trichodent teeth, which means that it is deeply set in the jaw sockets. Kani siya kay mag-provide ni siya og strong bite. The crocodilians have 80 cone-shaped teeth and undergo polyphendonty, which means that it can replace their teeth up to 50 times throughout their lives. Ang dami, no? Next is the aquamates, which is the lizards and snakes have two different types of tooth attachment, which is the acrodent teeth, which is found in the amphibians that are attached along the jaw range. Next is the pleurodont teeth, which occurs in most lizards and snakes that are attached along the medial jaw edge. The herbivorous lizards may have multi-cuspid teeth, which means that it helps them chew plant material more effectively. Snake skull and feeding adaptation. Snake skulls and jaws are loosely joined, allowing ingestion of prey larger than the head size. So yung snakes pala, it has a flexible skulls and jaws para makaswallow sila sa mas malaki pang prey kaysa sa ulo nila. Their movable upper jaw bones and loosely joined lower jaw halves allow independent movement. So yung upper jaw bones and their lower jaw bones are loosely connected, which means it is not tightly. So it enables them to move independent. So hindi sila dependent sa isa't isa, which enables them to better grip and expansion. Their posteriorly pointing teeth prevent prey escape and aid swallowing. So, yung teeth nila backward, it prevents prey para makapag-escape and it can swallow them slowly at whole. Next is the glottis, which is the respiratory opening, is positioned forward to allow breathing while swallowing prey. So, to keep breathing daw while eating, yung snakes nasa forward position glottis or the glottis, which is the opening of the respiratory system para makaalaw sila og air while they are eating their prey. Venomous snake adaptations. The vipers or the viperidae have hinge, hollow fangs that fold back when the mouth is closed. So kung mag-close daw ang ilaang mouth, so ang ilaang fangs is ma-fold back siya. However, if open sila, mag-swing forward ng ilaang fangs para maka-strike sila o maka-deliver sila og venom sa ilang mga prey. Kaya siyang rare fang snakes or the colabridae, like the boomslang, have groove fangs positioned toward the back of the mouth. So kani siya, it requires them to chew. Mag-usap pa sila before they inject venom effectively. While the cobras, coral snakes, and sea snakes have fixed anterior fangs, which means na sila forward-facing fangs that sit in gum pockets. Kani siya, it allows them to be quick, efficient when it comes to delivering their venom. So some cobras have spit venom. So they can spit venom. So makahatag sila og venom spray venom towards their attacker's eyes, which can cause blindness or it can cause pain as a defense mechanism sa mga cobra. Evolution and effects of venom. Snake venom evolved through gene duplication and mutation, repurposing salivary glands into venom glands. So kani siya, ang snake venom is ni-evolve ni siya through gene duplication and mutation. Tapos, ning-transform ni siya gikan sa salivary glands into venom glands over time. Venom functions to immobilize prey and consists of zootoxic enzymes and proteins. So, kani siya nga adaptation ni helps siya para ma-immobilize ang prey sa mga snakes. It actually consists of mixing the zootoxic enzymes and proteins para makahimo sila og venom. Next is there are different venom effects. The first is the neurotoxic venoms. From the word neuro, so actually disrupts the nerve signals. The example of this is the faint banded sea snake. This neurotoxic venom, it actually disrupts the nerve signals leading to respiratory paralysis. Next is the hemotoxic venoms. The example of this is the timber rattlesnakes. So this one, it destroys blood cells and blood vessels, causing internal bleeding and tissue damage. It actually has severe effects of the venom sa mga snakes. Next is snakes primarily rely on correlation, display, and fleeing for defense, not venom. So despite na day sila venom, ang primarily day na defense mechanism sa isa ka snake is correlation and body displays, and actually they're escaping. Next, let's proceed to the circulation, gas exchange, and temperature regulation. The circulatory system of non-avian reptiles is based on that of amphibians. Non-avian reptiles are generally larger than amphibians, requiring higher blood pressure to circulate blood effectively. So, ang circulatory system daw sa isa ka non-avian reptiles is similar siya sa isa ka amphibians. But because dagkuman ang reptiles, they needed higher blood pressure para makamove ang blood efficiently sa ilaang lawas. So example ani kay ang Bronchosaurus, they had to pump blood nearly 6 meters pataas gikan sa heart padulong sa head. It actually requires a powerful circulatory system. Next example of this is the giraffe. The giraffe have a blood pressure that of twice of humans. Para kinahanglan siya ma-push ang blood 2 meters pataas sa iyang brain. So kani siya mga adaptation ito, it ensures that enough oxygen reaches the brain, even in animals with long necks. Similar to amphibians, non-avian reptiles have two atria that are completely separated in adults, with veins from the body and lungs emptying into them. So, in most non-avian reptiles, the sinus venosus is not a chamber, but a patch of pacemaker cells except in turtles. So, ang sinus venosus siya is dili na siya full chamber, but it actually functions as a pacemaker patch sa cells. Except lang siya sa mga turtles, kay sa turtles, it actually remains chamber-like. So, the ventriole is incompletely divided except in crocodilians, where the ventricular septum is complete. So, in most reptiles daw, ang ventricle is incompletely divided. So, wala siya na-divide. So, it actually allows the mixing of the oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. Pero different siya sa crocodilians because the ventricular septum of the crocodilians is actually complete. It fully separates the oxygen-rich and the oxygen-poor blood para ma-efficient ang circulation. The ventral aorta and the conus arteriosus split during development into three major arteries. Siya na siya three major arteries, which first is the pulmonary artery or the ventral side. It actually sends blood to the lungs. Next is the two systematic arteries. One side from the ventral side and one from the dorsal side. It actually supplies oxygenated blood to the body and head. So, these adaptations help reptiles circulate blood more efficiently as they evolve for their life on land. So talking about the blood circulation of non-avian reptiles, it actually follows a similar pattern to other vertebrates, but it actually have an adaptation for intermittent breathing. So first is the deoxygenated blood. So yung deoxygenated blood, it actually from the body and it enters to the right atrium. Then it flows to the ventricle, tapos it is pumped through the pulmonary artery to the lungs. Next is the oxygenated blood. The oxygenated blood actually returns from the lungs via the pulmonary veins tapos mag-enter siya sa left atrium. Then it flows into the ventricle where it is pumped into the systemic arteries to supply the body. Next is because the ventricle is not fully divided, so except ng sa crocodilians, we discuss it yung kanina lang, some blood mixing, which is the sun chanting, occurs between the pulmonary and the systemic circuits. So, in incomplete ventricular separation allows blood shunting between the pulmonary and the systemic circuits. So, this is useful because most non-avian reptiles breathe intermittently. So, yung blood shunting pala is very beneficial pala sa mga non-avian reptiles because it allows them na makabreathe intermittently rather than continuously. For yung example is yung turtles. It retracts into their shells para mag-stop yung lung ventilation nila. Next is that diving turtles hold their breath for long periods. Tapos, it temporarily reduces their blood flow to the lungs to conserve oxygen and energy. So, during apnea or no breathing, this adjustment help reptiles maximize oxygen use and to survive in low oxygen conditions. So that's why it is very beneficial sa mga non-avian reptiles. Now let us proceed to the gas exchange. Gas exchange and respiratory adaptations. Non-avian reptiles exchange gases across internal respiratory surfaces to minimize water loss. They have a larynx, but vocal cords are usually absent. Cartilages support their respiratory passages. Lungs are divided into sponge-like interconnected chambers, providing a large surface area for gas exchange. So yung mga non-avian reptiles daw is they actually adapted a respiratory system para ma-minimize na yung water loss nila while exchanging gases sa kanilang internal surfaces. So rather than skin, hindi sila like the amphibians. So they have the larynx, present siya, but wala silang vocal cords. So meaning, yung most reptiles produce only hisses, grunts, and other simple sounds. Unlike yung mga amphibians na very loud talaga, no? To keep their airways open, their respiratory passages are enforced with cartilage. So may cartilage po ang kanilang respiratory passages. So their lungs are highly structured. So it has been divided into spongy interconnected chambers, which actually greatly increase the surface area para efficient yung pag-gas exchange. Tapos, it actually supports their lower metabolic needs compared sa mga birds and sa animals. Lung ventilation or the negative pressure mechanism. Most non-avian reptiles inhale by moving the ribs and body wall posteriorly, expanding the body cavity and decreasing lung pressure. So the exhalation occurs when the lungs recoil elastically and the ribs and body wall move forward, compressing the lungs. So most non-avian reptiles actually breathe using yung ribs nila and body wall, which actually creates a negative pressure sa lungs. So there are two things here, the inhalation and the exhalation. The inhalation, which is the ribs and body wall move backward, tapos it expand the body cavity and decreasing lung pressure para yung air is mag-flow in. Next is the exhalation, in which the lungs recoil elastically and the ribs and body wall move forward, compressing the lungs. It actually pushes the air out. So this coastal or the rib-based breathing is different. So magkaiba siya sa mga amphibians, which use vocal pumping, which is the pushing air with their throat muscles. Turtle respiration or the unique adaptation. Since turtle ribs are part of their shell, their body wall cannot expand for breathing. So in exhalation, muscles contract, forcing the viscera upward to compress the lungs. In exhalation naman, different muscles contract, increasing the visceral cavity volume, creating a negative pressure to draw air into the lungs. So, yung mga turtles kasi is nakafuse yung kanilang ribs sa shell, so hindi sila makapag-expand sa kanilang body wall, unlike sa other reptiles. So instead, yung mga turtles is gumagamit sila sa muscles nila inside their body cavity para makontrol nila ang ventilation. So when it comes to exhalations, may mga certain muscles sila na mag-contract which actually push their viscera or the internal organs upward, which actually compress the lungs para ma-force out siya. Next is the inhalation. Yung inhalation naman nila is yung maiba silang muscles para mag-contract which actually expand their visceral cavity and it creates negative pressure para makadraw in sila sa mga air into their lungs. So, these unique breathing methods, it allows the turtles to maintain efficient respiration despite the rigid shells. Let us proceed to the temperature regulation of non-avian reptiles. Temperature regulation in non-avian reptiles. Unlike aquatic animals, terrestrial animals face extreme temperatures. It is between the -65 to 70 degrees Celsius that can be lethal. Most non-avian reptiles are ectothermic, relying on external heat sources for temperature regulation. Their cells do not respond to thyroid hormones like mammals and avian reptiles do. So there are exceptions. So in exceptions, some phytons, like the Indian phyton, the Phyton molurus, can generate metabolic heat, allowing females to coil around eggs and raise body temperature by 7.3 degrees Celsius above air temperature. So, unlike sa mga aquatic animals daw, yung may mga stable temperatures, yung mga terrestrial animals, it actually face extreme temperature variations. So, kung wala silang proper adaptation, it can damage them or it can cause death. So, most non-avian reptiles are ectothermic, meaning that they depend sa mga external heat sources like the sun or like the warm surfaces para ma-regulate nila ang kanilang body temperature. So unlike sa mga mammals o birds, ang kanilang mga cells, it does not respond to the thyroid hormones para sa mga temperature regulation. Pero may mga exceptions din naman. Yung exceptions is the phyton. Yung phyton, it can actually generate metabolic heat. When incubating eggs nila, yung mga female is pinapalibutan nila tightly yung eggs nila para ma-increase yung body temperature above the surrounding air para yung mga eggs is nasa warm, stable na siya. Mesothermy in dinosaurs. Some dinosaurs had mesothermic abilities, meaning they could increase body temperature metabolically, but not maintain it for so long. So example of this is a fully endothermic Tyrannosaurus would have needed too much food to survive. So yung mga ibang dinosaurs daw is mesothermic sila, meaning they could generate body heat metabolically pero hindi nila ito ma-maintain constantly yung kanilang temperature para kumpara sa mga true endotherms like the mammals and birds. So, this actually allowed them to stay active without the high energy demands of full endothermy. So, example nito is the Tyrannosaurus rex. It actually have fully endothermic. But it would require an enormous amount of food para masustain nila ang kanilang high metabolisms because making a survival is actually difficult. Yung mesothermy is it actually likely help many dinosaurs para mabalance nila ang kanilang energy use. They can stay more active than the ectotherms and it can thrive in various environments. Some non-avian reptiles tolerate extreme temperatures fluctuations. Example of this is that between the -2 to 41 degrees Celsius in some turtles. To remain active, they regulate the body temperature within 25 to 37 degrees Celsius. In conditions are extremes, they seek shelter where temperature are more stable. So yung ibang non-avian reptiles is they can actually tolerate extreme temperatures, which some turtles they survive between the -2 degrees Celsius and 41 degrees Celsius. However, you have to stay active. So most reptiles regulate their body temperature within 25 to 37 degrees Celsius by adjusting their behavior. So, if yung temperature naman is too extreme, yung ibang reptiles is nagsisik sila ng shelter like under the rocks or shaded areas para magkaroon ng stable conditions. This behavioral thermoregulation actually helps them to avoid overheating or freezing, which ensures them in survival in harsh environments. In behavioral thermoregulation, so to regulate yung body temperature sa mga non-avian reptiles, may mga behavioral strategies para sila sa warming up and cooling down. So in warming up, lizards position their bodies at right angles towards the sun to absorb maximum sunlight and press against warm surfaces para matransfer yung heat through conduction. Next is na cooling down is lizards align their bodies parallel sa sun or they seek shade or burrows or talagang they elevate their posture by extending their legs and arcing their tail para ma-reduce yung heat absorption sa ground. So you can see it in the pictures. So many reptiles in hot climates are nocturnal, which means that active lang sila sa gabi, tapos hindi sila active sa umaga or they not totally active. So they try to avoid extreme heat by becoming active at night when temperatures are much cooler. Physiological thermoregulation. So, in non-avian reptiles, they actually use various strategies para ma-regulate nila ang kanilang body temperatures. So, this actually includes panting, blood flow adjustments, and color changes. So, yung panting naman is may ibang mga reptiles talaga na they cool down through evaporative cooling. But ito is less effective lang siya kasi may dry skin sila, which actually minimize water loss. Next is the blood flow regulation, which actually an example nito is ang marine iguanas. So while basking, they actually increase blood flow sa kanilang skin para maka-absorb sila more heat. So when they dive into the cold water, they reduce their heart rate and blood flow, which actually slowing heat loss and conserving warmth. Next is the chromatophores. The chromatophores or the color changes. So yung chromatophores is their darker color, which is the dispersed chromatophores, absorbs more heat, helping reptiles warm up faster in cold conditions. Then, these adaptations are actually helpful sa reptiles because it drives them to extreme environments by adjusting their body temperature efficiently. Cold weather adaptations. In temperate regions, many non-avian reptiles become inactive in winter with reduced metabolism and body temperature. Some reptiles migrate to a common hibernaculum where clustering reduces heat loss. Unlike true hibernators, their body temperature is not actively regulated, making them vulnerable for freezing and death from extreme cold. So sa mga temperate regions is madaming mga non-avian reptiles that are actually inactive sa winter. So they enter the state of brumation, which actually means a reptilian form of dormancy, where ang kanilang mga metabolism and body temperature is mag-drop talaga significantly. So some reptiles, nag-migrate sila to a common hibernaculum, which means a sheltered wintering site, often clustering together para makaproduce sila or makareduce sila sa kanilang heat loss. So unlike true hibernators, such as mga mammals, yung mga reptiles is hindi talaga sila actively regulating their body temperature during dormancy. So since hindi sila nag-regulate sa kanilang mga body temperature, unlike sa mga mammals, so it makes them vulnerable sa mga freezing and death when the temperatures are very low. So by using protected sites such as mga burrows, caves, or rock crevices or yung mga cracks sa rocks, yung mga reptiles is maka-avoid sila sa extreme cold. So they can survive winter until temperature rise again. Let us proceed to the nervous and sensory functions. Brain and nervous system. The brain of non-avian reptiles is similar to that of other vertebrates but shows increased development. Cerebral hemispheres are larger than in amphibians, linked to an improved sense of smell. Optic lobes in cerebellum are also enlarged, reflecting reliance on vision and refined motor coordinations. So yung brain sa mga non-avian reptiles is actually similar lang siya sa mga other vertebrates, but it has increased development. So it actually supports their more complex behaviors. So yung cerebral hemispheres nila are much larger compared sa mga amphibians, in which it actually improved their learning ability and their sense of smell, so which is very necessary sa kanilang hunting. And optic lobes are enlarged, so it actually reflects a strong reliance sa kanilang vision para sa hunting and navigation. Ang kanilang cerebellum is more developed din. It actually enhanced their motor coordination para sa kanilang mga activities like climbing, swimming, and striking prey. So these adaptations, it actually allows reptiles to be more efficient predators and survive in diverse environments. And avian reptiles have well-developed vision with specialized adaptations para sa hunting, protection, o sa defense. So in chameleons, it can actually move their eye independent para makiscan sila sa kanilang surroundings, and when they can spot the prey, yung dalawang eyes nila is mag-converge para maging binocular vision siya. Tapos, magkaroon sila ng accurate strikes. Yung focusing mechanisms naman is it may vary sa mga species. Yung snakes is it can move their lens forward para makafocus sa close objects. While sa other reptiles is maka-adjust naman sila sa kanilang mga lens shape using ciliary muscles similar sa mga mammals. May mga color vision din sila na more advanced pa compared sa amphibians, which is because sa higher number sa cone cells nila. It can allow the reptiles to detect a wider range of colors. So in protective eye structures naman is may upper and lower eyelids sila, a nictitating membrane and a blood sinus, which actually helps them para ma-cleanse and shield the eye. In snakes and some lizards, they have a transparent spectacle, which is a fused eyelids that are actually shed during molting. There are also unique defense mechanism, which is in the horned lizard. It can actually rupture their eye blood sinus, squirting blood at predators to startle them and increase their chance to escape. So yung mga adaptations na to is actually help the reptiles para makakita, makahunt, and makaprotect sa kanilang eyes in a diverse environments. Parietal median eye. Some avian reptiles have a parietal median eye. This is actually an ancient light-sensitive organ na na-develop siya galing sa forebrain roof. So in Tuataras, the parietal vision is may lens, may retina, and may nerve, pero hindi ito siya para sa vision. So its function is not for vision. In other reptiles din naman, is it primarily helps them regulate their circadian rhythms and hormone production. Next is the parietal eye can detect light and dark cycles, which aids them the sun orientations and seasonal behaviors. But although it does not provide clear images, the third eye actually plays a key role in biological timing and environmental awareness. So in hearing in an avian reptiles it actually varies depending siya sa mga species. So in snakes, it actually lack a middle ear cavity, auditory tube, and tympanic membrane or the eardrum. So instead, yung vibrations nila from the ground when they travel through the jawy bone to the stapes of their inner ear, it actually allows them para makadetect sila sa mga subtle movements. So they can also sense airborne vibrations. So through their hearing, it is not as sensitive as mammals. So other non-avian reptiles have a tympanic membrane or the eardrum, which may be visible sa surface pero it resists within the head. The inner ear structure in reptiles is similar lang siya sa mga amphibians. It actually processes sound and maintaining balance. So, ang mga adaptations nito is it can help reptiles. It can detect prey, predators, and environmental cues even without advanced hearing structures. Olfaction or the sense of smell. In an avian reptiles, they have more developed sense of smell compared sa amphibians. So, yung sense of smell nila, it can help them detect food, mates, and predators. So, yung secondary palate nila, which is mentioned lang siya sa before, is it actually increases the surface area sa kanilang olfactory epithelium that actually enhancing their smell perception. So many reptiles have Jacobson's or the vomerous nasal organs, which are the highly developed aquamates, such as the lizards and snakes, and it is absent in adult crocodilians and turtles. So, yung snakes and lizard is they actually use their fork tongues para makakonect or collect sila sa mga airborne chemical cues, which transferring them from Jacobson's organs to detailed scent paralysis. So, yung mga adaptation nito is it can actually allows reptiles para makatrack sa kanilang prey, maka-identify sa kanilang mates, and maka-navigate sa kanilang environment with precision. Heat-sensitive pit organs. The pit vipers, example of this is the rattlesnakes, have paired pit organs na located lang siya between sa eyes and sa nostrils nila. So, this is actually heat-sensitive organs para makadetect sila sa mga infrared radiation, which allows them to sense warm-blooded prey and even in total darkness. So even though it's literally dark, they can sense the warm-blooded prey nila. So other snakes like the boas and the pythons, it actually has a similar heat detecting structures lang siya. So often more numerous and positioned closer to their mouth. So these adaptations give them the thermal vision, quote-unquote vision, it actually helps them hunt efficiently at night or in dense vegetation. So through this thermal vision, it can actually helps them kahit na gabi na, they can actually hunt pa rin. Magnetic field detection in sea turtles. So yung sea turtles, example nito is the green sea turtle. They actually rely sa Earth's magnetic field para sa kanilang navigation. For example is yung hatchlings, they use the magnetic cues para makita nila yung ocean after they came from the nest. Next is yung adults, they actually migrate thousands of kilometers para makareturn lang sa kanilang birthplace para makalay sila ng kanilang eggs. And they can detect and distinguish magnetic fields from different geographic locations which actually allows them para ma-precise ang kanilang long-distance navigation. So, similar lang siya sa magnetic sense na makikita natin sa mga birds. They can actually aid them para sa kanilang migrations. So, para itong GPS sa mga turtles para malaman nila kung saan yung talagang actual pupuntahan nila para makasurvive and makareproduce sa vast oceans. Let us proceed to the excretion and osmoregulation. Yung kidney structure and function nila sa mga Navavian reptiles is maka-change sila when they develop to support terrestrial life, larger body size, and higher metabolism. So yung embryonic kidneys, they actually resemble those of fishes and amphibians. So parang similar lang siya sa mga fishes and amphibians. And the metamorphic kidneys, it actually develops siya when they are adults. It provides them better water conservation and waste filtration. So yung mga kidneys nila is it actually have numerous nephrons which allows them for efficient blood filtration. yung high blood pressure nila is actually helping them para makafilter sa mga large amounts of blood, which ensures waste removal and water balance. So yung mga adaptations nito, it actually allows reptiles to survive in dry environments by reducing water loss. Excretion and water conservation. So most non-avian reptiles is they actually release uric acid instead sa mga urea like the mammals or ammonia like sa fish para makakonserve ng water. Yung uric acid is a non-toxic and water insoluble, which actually forming a paste-like substance that actually requires minimal water for excretion. So this thing is actually helping the embryos and eggs store waste without harming the development. So yung water is absorbed siya sa urinary bladder, tapos yung coacal walls, it actually further reduce the water loss. So this adaptation actually help the reptiles makasurvive sa mga dry environments kasi ma-maximize nila ang water retention nila. Additional adaptations for water conservations. So in non-avian reptiles, they are actually having the physical, behavioral, and physiological adaptations para makakonserve sila sa water, especially when they are in dry environments. So one of these is the internal respiratory surfaces and permeable skin para makareduce sila sa kanilang water loss. Next is the behavioral strategies, which is the nocturnal activity. So, gabi lang sila lumalabas para maka-avoid sila sa hot daytime temperatures. Next is the burrowing, which is preventing them from excessive dehydration. Next is the water storage mechanisms. So, some reptiles, example is yung chokwalas, it actually store water under their skin or in their urinary bladder. Next is the salt regulation. So, yung salt regulation nila is yung matatagpo dito sa mga mating lizards. So, yung salt glands nila below their eyes is actually expelling excess salt without losing water. So, these adaptations helps the reptiles survive the harsh, the arid environments while maintaining hydrations. Let us proceed to the reproduction and development. Adaptations for terrestrial reproduction. So, yung internal fertilization in the amniotic egg, it actually allowed the vertebrates para magkaroon ng full transition to land, and it actually provides them a self-contained environment para ma-develop yung kanilang mga embryos. So, the amniotic egg benefits. So, may mga benefits yung amniotic egg. So, one of this, it actually allows the gas exchange, but it also causes some water loss. It actually requires a parental care to maintain humidity. Next is the contains a yolk-rich supply. It actually provides nutrients for long developmental periods. So yung mga adaptation na to, it actually free the reptiles from aquatic reproduction, which enables them to thrive in diverse terrestrial habitats, which means that hindi lang sila sa aquatic but also in earth makahabitat or maka-take care sa kanilang mga eggs. So, sa internal fertilization mechanisms, yung mga male non-avian reptiles nila except sa mga Tuataras, it actually have intermittent organs para sa sperm transfers. Example is the lizards and snakes. They actually have paired hemipens which invert like a glove finger during mating. So, mga sperm storage naman is makastore yung females nila para ma-delayed yung mga fertilizations. For example, sa turtles is up to 4 years, while some snakes naman is up to 6 years. So, some species store sperm over winter para ma-fertilize nila ito sa spring. So, yung adaptation sa to, it actually increases reproductive flexibility, which allows them in mating and fertilization at optimal times. In egg development and laying, so fertilization happens sa oviduct, where ang mga albumin or which is the egg white and the eggshell are formed. Sa eggshell types naman is may dalawa tayo, which is the tough but flexible sa ibang reptiles. May iba naman is ang calcareous and rigid, which is in crocodilians. Similar lang siya sa mga birds. So yung mga variations na to, it can actually help protect the embryo while allowing gas exchange for development. Pathogenesis. So yung pathogenesis, it actually occurs sa 6 lizard families and 3 snake species. So it includes that no males needed or individuals reproduce asexually. So hindi sila sexually, it doesn't require female or male. Next is it enables rapid population growth since every individual can produce offspring. So madali ang pag-increase nila. Next is genetic uniformity can be disadvantage, but it actually helps them in harsh environments where survival is key. We have the reproductive behaviors. So we have the mating behaviors sa mga non-avian reptiles. Sa lizard is they actually perform head bobbing, which displays and show off their bright throat patches para ma-attract ang kanilang mga mates. Next is the snakes. So sa snakes naman is they use their tail waving or their chin rubbing and body entwining during courtship. Next sa lizards and snakes is they rely on pheromones, yung smell nilang na pinapalabas para maka-find and maka-recognize sila sa kanilang potential mates. Next is sa mga crocodilians, they can actually communicate using vocalizations like barking and roaring para sa kanilang territorial defense and mate attraction. Compared sa iba, yung non-avian reptiles pala when it comes to parental care is they abandon their eggs after laying. Exemptions ng nito is yung turtles, they actually bury their eggs in the ground for plant debris, and some lizards and snakes is they lay their eggs under rocks or in the burrows. So one of these example is the American alligator. The American alligator is they build a mud and vegetation nest. Yung temperature naman is nila, nakadepende lang siya sa kanilang sex determination. Yung may temperature sa females, may sa males, and may both mixed sexes din naman. Next is the female guards the nest para maka-free yung mga hatchlings upon hearing calls, and they can actually transport them into water. So, they stay with their young up to 2 years, offering protection and leftover food scraps. Let us proceed to the evolutionary connections. Alcazar divergence in 200 million years ago. So there are 3 major groups of Alcazar. First is the crocodilians, which actually include siya sa mga modern crocodiles, alligators, o mga gharials. Next is the dinosaurs, which actually later give rise to birds. Next is the 2 groups of flying Alcazars. First is the pterosaurs, which is the Greek word is the pteros means wings and the saurus means lizard. Next is the bird ancestors. So ano ba yung mga adaptations sa flight sa mga pterosaur? Next is the size variation nila is actually range from sparrow size until 13-meter wingspan. Their wing structure is elongated fourth finger, supported membranous wings. Tapos yung external modification sila is it actually provide yung strong attachment para sa mga flight muscles nila. Next is yung hollow bones. It actually reduce their weight in aiding for flight. Synapsid divergence in 320 million years ago. So this actually lead para yung mga mammals is may diversify into various extinct groups. So may mga key evolutionary adaptations sila. First is yung erect posture with long legs para makalift off sila ang kanilang body sa ground. Next is ang specialized teeth and jaws para when it comes to chewing and tearing their food, it becomes efficient to them. Next is the middle ear evolution or yung may karoon sila na additional bones para better ang kanilang hearing. Next is these changes took place between the Carboniferous and Tertiary periods. Let us proceed to the classification of living non-avian reptiles o class Reptilia. So, may mga general characteristics ang class Reptilia. First, it has a dry skin with epidermal scales. The second is yung skull nila is one point of articulation with the vertebral column or the epicyclical condyle. Next is their lungs for respiration has no gills, and it has a metaphoric kidneys, which is efficient at conserving water. Next is their internal fertilization and amniotic eggs for terrestrial reproduction. One of the orders of non-avian reptiles is the order Testodians or the Chelonia. The turtles, which has no teeth in adults, replaced by a horny break. It actually have a short, broad body. It enclosed with a protective shell. So yung dalawang shell nila is ang dorsal carapace, which is the upper shell, and the ventral plastron, which is the lower shell. So yun lang ang things na you need to remember para ma-identify mo ang mga turtles or ang order Testodians. Next order is the order Crocodilia or the crocodilians. So it actually have an elongated muscular bodies with laterally compressed tails. Next is yung tongue nila is fixed lang siya sa place. Next is it has a complete ventricular septum, which means that yung separated yung chambers nila sa oxygenated or yung deoxygenated blood. Next is it actually includes crocodiles, alligators, canyons, and gavials. So if you want to remember the order Crocodilia, you can look at these differentiate characteristics. Next is the order Cephalodontia, which is the Toaterus. It is a very primitive lizard-like reptiles. It has also a well-developed parietal eye, which has a third eye on top of their head para magkaroon sila ng light detection. So, only two surviving species ang natira, which is actually found in New Zealand. So, if you want to identify these, you can look at these characteristics para malalaman mo yan na it actually belong in this order. Last but not the least order is the order Scomata, which includes the snakes, lizards, and worm lizards. Next is it is actually recognized by their skull and jaw adaptations. So you can know if it is included in this order if you look at their skull and jaw adaptations. So it actually reduces or absent temporal arc, and it has a movable or secondarily fixed equidate bone, which allows them for jaw flexibility. So this order is actually very successful in diverse reptile group. It actually includes the snakes, lizards, and worm lizards. And that concludes my report. So you can just look at the slides since it is very understandable naman since it is explained in a very simple words. So I hope you understand and learn well, and I hope that you will obtain a good day and happy day. Thank you so much for watching or listening, and I hope I'll see you next. Bye.